White Lion is an American glam metal band formed in New York City in 1983 by Danish vocalist Mike Tramp and American guitarist Vito Bratta. Mainly active in the 80s and early 90s, they released their debut album Fight to Survive in '85. The band achieved success with their hit Wait, and When the Children Cry from their second album, the double platinum selling Pride. The band continued their success with their third album, Big Game, which achieved gold status, and their fourth album, Main Attraction, which included a supporting tour. White Lion disbanded in 1991, and not long afterwards, their first compilation album, The Best of White Lion, was released. Mike Tramp reformed White Lion with all new musicians in 1999 and again in 2004, following a failed attempt to reunite the original lineup. The new White Lion released a live album in 2005 and a brand new studio album, Return of the Pride, in 2008. From 2023, Tramp brought his version of White Lion back with a trilogy of albums featuring re-recorded versions of White Lion classics, appropriately titled songs of White Lion. After moving from Denmark to Spain and then New York City, vocalist Mike Tramp, formerly of the bands Mabel, Studs, and Danish Lions, met Staten Island guitarist Vito Bratta, formerly of Dreamer, in late November 1982 in Brooklyn, when Tramp was playing with his band. In March 1983, they decided to put together a new band. At first, they had a hard time finding a stable rhythm section, and they tried several different ones, including Michael Clayton on drums, who later played in the band Tiketo. After a while, they recruited drummer Nikki and bassist Felix Robinson, formerly of Angel, and named the group White Lion. White Lion was signed by Elektra Records in 1984 and recorded their debut album Fight to Survive. Elektra was unhappy with the final recording, and after refusing to release the album, terminated the band's contract. The album Fight to Survive was eventually released by Victor Company of Japan in 1985. Philadelphia-based Grand Slam Records bought the album from Elektra and released it in America the following year under license, and featured the band's debut single and music video, Broken Heart. A few months after the album's release, Grand Slam Records went bankrupt. Felix Robinson had departed the band after they were dropped by Elektra in 1984. He was eventually replaced by bassist Dave Spitz, brother of Anthrax guitarist Dan Spitz. Early in 1987, the band was signed by Atlantic Records. The recording of the new LP took 6 weeks, and on June 21, 1987, their album Pride was released. The first single, Wait, was released on June 1, 1987, but did not reach the charts for nearly 7 months. The Pride tour started in July 1987. The next year and a half was filled with constant touring, opening for such bands as Aerosmith, Stryper, and Kiss. Pride would remain on the Billboard 200 chart for a full year, selling 2 million copies in the US alone and achieving double platinum status. In August 1988, the album's second single, Tell Me, reached number 58. Around the time this single was released, White Lion played at the Ritz Club in New York City. The show was filmed and later aired on MTV. The Pride album's third single, an acoustic ballad titled When the Children Cry, made it to number 3 on the US charts with heavy MTV airplay. The success of When the Children Cry would eventually push sales of Pride over the 2 million mark. In addition, Vito Bratta was recognized for his instrumental talents by racking up Best New Guitarist awards with both Guitar World magazine and Guitar for the Practicing Musician magazine. All You Need Is Rock and Roll was the final single released from the album. In the end of 1988, the Pride tour finally ended, and the band released their first video albums titled Live at the Ritz and One Night in Tokyo, both of which featuring full concerts on VHS. The band then immediately began work on their next album. In August 1989, White Lion released their third album, Big Game, an eclectic follow-up to Pride that featured the single Little Fighter, which peaked at number 52, in memory of the Rainbow Warrior, a Greenpeace boat which was destroyed by the French. The album quickly went gold, with a peak of number 19 on the album's chart. The band's success continued with more constant touring. They did a European tour, including a string of UK arena shows, and also played with Ozzy Osbourne and Cinderella. After less successful gigs in England and mixed reviews of the new album, the band chose to take a few months off after the turn of the year to focus on writing a new album. Just in time for the late autumn of 1990, White Lion released their fourth album, Main Attraction, in March 1991. The album featured the singles Love Don't Come Easy, which peaked at number 24 on the mainstream rock chart, Lights and Thunder, which is an 8-minute heavy rock epic with a complex structure inspired by Led Zeppelin's Achilles' Last Stand, and a re-recorded version of the band's debut single, Broken Heart, all of which featured music videos. You're All I Need was released as promo single, and Farewell to You featured a music video montage. The album also contained White Lion's only instrumental song, Blue Monday, a tribute to Stevie Ray Vaughan, who had died while the band was writing the album. The album's two ballads, You're All I Need and Till Death Do Us Part, gained popular airplay in Indonesia and the Philippines. After briefly touring in support of Main Attraction, Tramp and Bratta decided to fold the group, their last show being held in Boston at the Channel in September 1991. Exactly 1 year later, in September 1992, the band's first compilation album was released, titled The Best of White Lion. Tramp has in later interviews told that the band split up due lack of interest from the record company, issues with the band management, and above all the entry of grunge music, a video DVD album featuring concert footage, behind-the-scenes interviews, and all of the band's music videos was also released. Titled Escape, from Brooklyn. When asked what the album would be like if he and Vito Bratta had released another album after Main Attraction, Tramp said it would have hinted at their growth and evolution and taken them further away from the 1980s sound. On February 16, 2007, Vito Bratta appeared on the Eddie Trunk radio show in New York, stating that despite what Mike Tramp said, he had never refused a White Lion reunion, stating that the only reason he was unable to participate was due to the illness of his father. He added that he would still be open to the idea and has not closed the door to returning to the music industry again.